I'm literally just starting recording early so that it doesn't go into sleep mode while I'm getting ready. Yup. Hey guys, what's up? It's Heidi. So, today is May 30th, which means it's time for my May wrap-up, and I'm just going to get right into talking about the books I read this month, because I read 15 books. 15. That's a lot of books. I don't even know how that happened. Granted, a lot of those were graphic novels, but still, that's a lot of books. So the first book I read is Shatter Me by Tahara Mafi, and I feel like this was so long ago that I didn't even read it in May, but apparently I did, and I loved it. I read it on ebook from my library, so that's why I don't have it with me, but I absolutely loved it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, I think, just because I wanted to know why everybody loves Warner, and I don't know yet. If you don't know what it's about, it is about a girl who has been basically like institutionalized or whatever because her touch is like lethal. So that's cool. The next book I read is actually a non-fiction book, and I've talked about it a couple times I think on videos here, but that is Red, Teenage Girls in America and What Fires Up Their Lives Today. I read this as a library book and then I bought it because it was amazing and it was on Book Outlet, and this is just a bunch of essays about teenage girls and what matters to them in their lives, and it's really interesting. It's basically just a bunch of really short stories about a various amount of things: body issues, sexuality, being an immigrant or having your parents be an immigrant, or just like pets or anything. But there's 58 essays and it's just really good. I really loved this book. It was fabulous. The next book I read for Bout of Books, which was a fabulous readathon, and the first book was Etiquette and Espionage by Gail Carriger, and this is a steampunk school novel where you go to a school and it's weird and they don't teach you normal school things, they teach you other school things, which I think is awesome. Like, any book like that I automatically love. But this was my first like real steampunk book, and I didn't know it was steampunk going into it, but I absolutely loved it. I think I gave this 4 stars, but then after I stopped reading it, I kept thinking about it and I was like, I need more. I need to read more. So I ended up going to the library and getting the second one, and that is Curtsies and Conspiracies, and this one is the last in the series out right now. It's a finishing school series, by the way, but I gave this 5 stars. Freaking loved it. I flew through these books. They're awesome, and now I cannot wait for the next ones, and I got all of her other books from the Parasol Protectorate series from the library, and I'm just waiting to read them all, but I haven't had time in the last couple days, but whatever. So yeah, loved these books. I don't know what that was. The next book I read, I have raved about, I have filmed a review about, not edited or uploaded it, but I absolutely loved it, and that is Rebel by Amy Tintera. This is the second in her duology thing, and it is awesome, and this is about a world in the future where when you die you have the chance to reboot and basically become alive again, and the less time it takes you to reboot, the more human you remain, and the main character in these books was dead for 178 minutes before she woke up again, which is the longest it has taken anybody ever to reboot, and yeah, and it's awesome. And this is the second one, so I can't tell you a whole lot about the plot or else I would spoil everything from the first one. So just believe me when I say I freaking loved this book. It was amazing. I gave it 5 stars. I gave it like 12 stars if I could, and I loved it. I dubbed this my favorite book of 2014 so far, so yeah. Sorry if I hyped it up a little too much for you, but it was awesome, basically. The next book I read for school, and that was Girls, Visions, and Everything by Sarah Schulman, and this was part of our study on queer literature, and my class is Images of Women in Literature, and so this is awesome. It's about living in New York and like the district that was like the Castro district of New York in, I believe, like the 80s, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed it, actually. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I think I ended up giving it only 3 stars, but I still did really enjoy it, and if it sounds interesting to you, I definitely would recommend picking it up. It's very short, it doesn't take very long to read at all, but it was good. I liked it. Next book I read was an audiobook, and that was Life, the Universe, and Everything by Douglas Adams. This is narrated by Martin Freeman. It's fabulous because Martin Freeman is reading to you, and that's great, and it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which, if you haven't been watching me for very long, I am in love with this series. It is a kind of old series, but I'm like, I know all the weird facts about this series, and I've seen like the TV show and the movie, and just, it's so good, and Love this series, and so that was awesome. I had already read this previously, but I gave it another 5 stars again because Martin Freeman was reading to me, and that's cool. Now we're getting into where I went on a graphic novel reading spree. The first 2 graphic novels I read this month were Mouse 1 and Mouse 2, and this is basically a Holocaust story about a family living in Poland, or a man who grew up in Poland, during the Holocaust, and the people are mice and cats and pigs, and it's awesome, and I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's based on a true story also because one of the characters has the same name as the author, but really, really enjoyed this. They're pretty well drawn. I kind of wish they were colored, but I can live without it being colored. But they're really awesome. Got them from my library. I really enjoyed them. I think I gave them 4 and 5 stars. I tend to like the second one in series more than I like the first one, just because I'm the first one just getting into the world or whatever, but I really, really enjoyed these. If you like graphic novels, if you like Holocausty stuff, recommend picking them up. The next book I read because Reagan from Peru's Project mentioned, and I don't think any video about a large amount of books is complete unless you have something from Reagan. That is Chopsticks by Jessica Anthony and Rodrigo Coral. This is, I don't know if I'd call it a graphic novel, but I wouldn't call it a novel, but I don't really know. But this story is basically a story told through like pictures and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. It took me like 15-20 minutes to read, but then I had to read it again because there's lots of things you missed the first time. And I was looking at reviews on Goodreads for it, and a lot of people thought it was really stupid and gimmicky, and I feel like you have to look a little deeper for it to not be completely gimmicky. Like, if I was just like browsing through it and not reading the story, I would understand, but there's just a lot of hidden things in there, and the main character's names start with F and G, and it's kind of has to deal with the main character's obsession with chopsticks, which starts with the notes F and G and they move slowly even further apart. It just, oh, it's really good actually. You just have to think about it a little harder. So if you do read this, I definitely recommend reading it more than once in a row because you'll notice things. Like, I didn't notice that the chapter titles are actually on some of the pictures. Let's see if I can find one. Yeah, so like on this, it says chapter 9 at the top of his invitation thing to one of her concerts, and I didn't notice until like chapter 8 or 9 that there were chapter headings, so I had to go back and find all of those. But basically, it's a fabulous book, and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4, maybe 5 stars. I don't know, but it was very interesting, very unique. I'm really glad I read it. The next graphic novel I read was Artemis Fowl, the graphic novel, and I was very disappointed in this. I love the Artemis Fowl series, and this did tell the story well, but the drawing, like the artist they picked, I feel like did not get the drawings right. I don't know. I don't really know how to say it. I did enjoy it, but I feel like it very much just scraped off the surface of what this story is, and I was kind of disappointed. I think I gave it 3 stars. If you don't want to read Artemis Fowl, but you want to know what the story is about, read this, but you're just not going to get as much out of it, so The next graphic novel series I read, I don't have them all with me right now because I bought them and then I let a friend borrow them, but I have the one I got from the library, and holy cow, this series has been getting so much hype lately, and I was like, I don't know, because you know, when something gets a lot of hype, you're very, very concerned about if it's going to live up to it and if you're gonna like it and all of that stuff, but holy cow, I freaking loved this, and that is Saga by, who does this, Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I don't know how to say your name, Brian, I apologize, but this is volume 1, there are 2 other volumes, and they are so good. Warning, because I have to include this, there's a lot of adult content in this series. A lot. So if you're under 18, ask your parents. But basically this is about this world where a planet and their moon have started fighting, and that fight has eventually spread throughout the galaxy, and it's so good, and the artist's work is amazing, and it's, oh, the story is amazing, and I know there's gonna be more, but I'm just so excited for more of it. I spent $15 each, except for the first one I think was 10, but I spent $15 to get a volume this big because I know I'm going to reread it like 5 million times. It's fabulous. Read these if you are 18 or more, or you have permission. So that is all the books I read this month. That is a lot of books. I don't think I will ever have a month this good again this year or whenever, but it was awesome. I had a great reading month. Let me know down in the comments what your reading month was like, how bout of books went for you, if you liked any of the books I read, if you want to read any of the books I read, what books do you think I should read? Basically anything you want to tell me, let me know in the comments, or if you want to tell me on Twitter, you can tell me at Major League Read. So I will see you on Tuesday with my June TBR, which I don't really know what it is yet. I haven't thought about that, but I will before my next video. I will see you very soon again, guys. Goodbye. Mwah.